Beautiful people, hello. I had a massage business about, what are we now, we're 2020 now. Remembering when it was. Over a decade ago, and I had that business for about 15 years. It was one of those things that when I got into it, I loved it. It wasn't an intention, it was like a bit of a suggestion from a friend of my mum's at the time. Anyway, as things evolved and jumped forward a few years, I was getting some coaching because things weren't going great, and then invested in some business coaching, and then went a bit deeper with the business coaching, and then I saw myself and experienced myself really evolve and grow, and I saw some big changes in myself which reflected out in the business, and that was a beautiful thing to me because at that stage, I'd grown up with my dad, who was always the boss in regards to the hospitality properties that he was the boss of, the GM, and that was a good thing. There's certainly some great lessons in that, carrying it through in life. When I had my own businesses, and specifically this massage business, and I got coaching for business coaching, life coaching, marketing coaching, and seeing the changes in that, and I was doing a program within that coaching itself, and then bought a book from another chap and read in the book going, you never get rid of the problems. And I remember being absolutely freaking devastated. I was devastated. I thought the whole purpose of working through the problems was to get rid of the problem. And yes, at a level we get rid of the problem, that problem in that way, in how we're approaching it, how the problem shows up for us in that moment for us to overcome. Please understand this, every problem is overcomable. No, that's not a word. I don't think it's a word. Pretty sure it's not a word. Like Marie Forleo says, everything's figure outable. It is. Every challenge has a solution. It's that whole yin yang thing. It's the question, the answer, the problem, the solution. You cannot have one without the other. And usually there's a multitude of solutions to that one challenge. Anyway, coming back to the point. In probably the 15 years since I read that, probably not that long ago actually, not 15 years ago, maybe about just over 10 years ago when I read that book. And as I've understood more and more stuff, and I've worked through more of my stuff and pulled more and more of my stuff apart, emotional stuff, baggage, paradigms, limiting beliefs, thoughts, processes of doing stuff that's not serving me, all that stuff, all the good shit you learn when you're a kid, and then you invest a good chunk of your life pulling that stuff apart, and then realizing we can actually install the stuff we want to, and all that stuff that we installed from those ages from 0 to 7, all stuff downloaded to us from, parental stuff, school stuff, culture stuff, life stuff. That's how our DNA is set up, to download, and then we pull it apart, and then we install the stuff we want to install to be who we want to be. And probably the best thing I've got out of that book was that statement of the problems never go away. You just get better problems as you get better at doing your life and how you show up and how you be in the world. We just get better problems, and that's a really good thing. And the juicy, amazing part of that is that it's the journey. It's part of the journey. Expanding your awareness, getting better with who we are, how we show up. 3 things I know work really well is your awareness of self, and then awareness of life, and the awareness of stuff in all of that. And that just continually expands as we become more conscious and more present to every moment. That never stops unless you're an individual that chooses to not evolve. And look, there's plenty of people on the planet like that. Unfortunately, when I see people do that, it does make me a bit sad, thinking that they've chosen, this is it, this is as good as I'm going to get. And you're going, it's so not true. The great thing about this stuff with having the problems that are always there, sorry, not the problems that are always, the problems will always be throughout life. It's part of life. But as I've learned for myself to reframe that stuff, to ask better questions, you get better answers. Understanding, you don't have to be an expert on our psychology in the brain, but when I started learning this stuff and started grasping how how my body works, how my brain works, how personality stuff is, how we can change that. Following people like Joe Dispenza, Bob Proctor. Oh my goodness, Tony Robbins was probably my first big mentor. Ed Milet, Grant Cardone, Dean Graziosi, Kerwin Ray in Sydney, Roy McDonald on the Gold Coast, and plus a whole bunch of other ones. Marie Forleo, Mel Robbins. There's so many. Richard Branson. Oh, these beautiful souls that are on the planet doing their journey share their wisdom and their insights to the world, and it helps. So the great thing about that is, as the problems help us grow, the challenges, the goals that we set, the solutions that we find, the pathways that we get to go to a certain point, like our end goal, it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. Now, there's going to be times within that, I know, I'm pretty sure everybody does that. They're going to be sucky days. And I never use the term ever to myself or anybody I'm talking to, and especially my kids. You're having a bad day. It's a load of freaking shit. There's nothing wrong with the day. It's how you show up in the day. It's how I show up in the day. It's how we bump around in the day with each other, vibrating all that shitty energy out there, not being aware of stuff, being sheeple. That's the stuff that's the challenge. That's the problem. If you're going to choose to be asleep and complain about it, well then wake up. Seriously. There is more than enough brilliant, amazing, phenomenal information getting around on the planet to help us achieve that. Anyway, yeah, the problems get better because you get better. You get better at solving them. You get better at being open to the solutions. That's good. And you've just got to be great at being you. And be open. And if you get stuck sometimes, ask for help from people. Ask for help from people. And be great at being you.